Welcome back to the canon, where we dive into the cinematic world of comic books and superheroes. First, I want to introduce my partner, Sal.
All right, thanks, Terry. And to the powers that be, bring back Captain Phasma.
All right, and I'm your host for today, Terry. All right, so for our first news, we have a recent issue of Empire magazine in which a number of exclusive images were released from the set of the upcoming DC film Batman v Superman. Among these images was a new look at the nightmare sequence that Batman at some point has during the movie. In this image, Batman is standing in the middle of a post-apocalyptic world with a clear Omega symbol carved into the ground. So Sal, do you think this means Darkseid, and what was your thoughts about the images?
I do think it means Darkseid, not necessarily in this movie. Maybe a cutscene, maybe something else. I have no idea. I think it's a little bit early to have released this picture. I mean, it does get me excited either way, but I would have liked to wait off on it. And we don't know, he might not even show up till Justice League Part 2. And besides the Darkseid, the one that kind of caught my eye was when Bruce Wayne, or Ben Affleck, was in the Wayne tomb, I guess you can call it. That was kind of cool because we've never really explored his family's past. I mean, we've heard of him, and I mean, if you read the comics, they talk about his family a little bit, but other than his parents, you never really see anything about other relatives. So I thought that was cool. I don't know how much they'll dive into that aspect of the movie, but just to see it and just to kind of know it's there, I think it brings a deeper meaning to his life, both present and past. So, what about you?
Yeah, so I'll speak for Sal because he didn't want to say it, because yesterday was a lot more infuriated about the Darkseid thing. So, yes, I think without a doubt it's Darkseid. The rumors with Doomsday were confirmed, of course, by the trailer. And then the Darkseid rumors, they're kind of, they're confirmed now. We had the parademons in that nightmare sequence. And people thought, since it's a dream, maybe it's not Darkseid, but this clearly is foretelling. I don't think he's going to be in the movie. I think it's just a hint at what's to come. But to fans like us, that's more than a hint. That's a confirmation. There's no way you put that in there without bringing Darkseid. But I do want to say how disappointed I am that DC went ahead and showed us that. It's just, this marketing campaign has been bad to me. I think it started off really hot, and then now it's fizzling out, where they showed us Doomsday, and we talked about that last week, but then they kind of backtrack with the TV spots to say, no, wait, let's go Batman v Superman again. We're like, okay. And then you go right back to spoiling stuff. So it's just like, imagine seeing that image in the theater for the first time.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Even we talked about if you released that image after the movie came out, a week or two, and then we're just like, oh, don't put in the movie, but release the image. Either way would have been better than what they did with this, because now it's just so much Justice League is being thrown at our face. And I'm disappointed. I'm going to see the movie. I'm going to love it, most likely. I don't know. But this does hurt. So, but my favorite image of all of them was Alfred kind of working on some mechanical Batman helmet type thing. It wasn't the one that the Superman Buster uniform that we're calling. I don't know what we're calling it. But it wasn't that one. It wasn't his original cape and cowl, so I don't know exactly what suit that
maybe
is.
Maybe it was the Buster before it got finished, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what it is, but I'm also interested that we're seeing Alfred do a lot more than he's ever really done in the movies. He's a lot more than just a butler in this one.
Yeah.
So that would have to be my most intriguing one.
Yeah, cool.
Alright, so next up we have Don Cheadle talking about War Machine. During a conversation with Superhero Hype at the Sundance Film Festival, Don Cheadle talked about his character's role in the upcoming Civil War movie, saying, "I never know what it's going to be, and they keep their cards very close to their breasts with Marvel. I never know where the character's going to go, but he's become more and more, and in the next one, you'll see what happens to Rhodey is a little bit more intense and pivotal to what happens in the rest of the stories. Sal, what did you think about Cheadle's comments?
Well, I definitely think War Machine is going to be a catalyst for, the head-to-head with Iron Man and Captain America. So, do I think he dies, basically? I don't know. We see that image of him laying in the field with Cap holding him on in his arms and stuff. I don't think they would have released that if he was going to die, so we'll wait to see. In terms of Cheadle himself as an actor, I love him as an actor, but as War Machine, not so much, just because I can he doesn't take me into that character. When I see him, I see Don Cheadle in an Iron Man suit. So if he did die off, this might be a little mean, but I wouldn't mind it, I guess. But we'll see. I mean, Marvel's ever changing. I mean, they have their plans thought out, but that can change if he was dead. I know you have some plan Bs for some of these characters if they were going to die. So, what about you? What's the plan?
Yeah, as clearly as I can say, Rhodey's dead, DOA, deadwood, pushing up daisies by the end of this movie. I definitely think he's going to die. I think it's been set up. Like you said, it'll be a catalyst, and it's kind of really foreshadowed right now. And I get what you're saying, that whole it's too obvious to be the actual story, but he's an inconsequential character,
Sure.
So I just really feel like, he'd be the one. And it's kind of like what you said, you wouldn't care that much if he died, or
Yeah.
you wouldn't mind. So it's kind of like, okay, well, we'll pick him. And so, I think he's dead. And just reading some of his comments, where he's talking about, well, I never know what's going on with Marvel. I think that means he knows his character dies. But with Marvel, one of their problems is they fake kill people a lot. Yeah. And by that, I mean, you have people that die, but then they come back later like, oh no, they're not really dead. So they did it with Nick Fury, where he dies in Winter Soldier, but then at the end, no, he's still alive. Agent Coulson dies, he gets the team together. Wait, he's still alive in S.H.I.E.L.D. And so Loki, he died, but wait, no, he's still alive. He's actually Odin. So I think he dies, but I think some type of soul gem or something later on is going to bring him back. Yeah. And so I do believe his comments. I think he dies, but like he says, you never know with Marvel. They might call him back up like, all right, we need you to shoot this.
Yeah, we need Don Cheadle.
All right, so for our next news, we had director/fan Kevin Smith co-host actually, a DC special featurette last week. On his podcast called Fat Man on Batman, Smith briefly discussed part of the special that never aired. We did a piece on Dawn of the Justice League where we talked about, I don't know how much I'm supposed to say because they cut it out, but the idea of, hey man, DC is known for nothing if not a multiverse. So at which point I was like, could they cross over? And he was like, so doors are being left open and stuff like that. Sal, do you think the DC TV world and the DC movie world will ever cross over?
It's a tough one. I think that's way in the future. Maybe, I think at earliest it might come between the Justice Leagues, both 1 and 2. If anything, I don't think they should cross over. I think the TV show should stay TV show and the movies should stay movies. I mean, I like them both. I don't watch the TV as much as like you do, but I mean, I can appreciate the television show. I think the characters in them are gonna be a lot different than the characters we see in the movie, and not in terms of story so much, but in terms of, hey, let's keep these things separate. And I think if anything, if we were gonna cross over these characters, I think they would have the cinematic actors go onto the TV shows for a special, maybe 1, 2, or 3 episodes. Okay. I think that'd be a lot easier in terms of continuity. I know multiverse is a huge thing, so continuity might not be the number one.
Continuity schmonity.
So, but I think that would be the easiest way to cross over the cinematic and the television shows.
Yeah, for me, I'm a big fan of the CW shows, more so the Flash, and I really like this idea. I think it's an idea that a lot of fans have been championing, from the beginning, uh, where it started with the push to get Grant Gustin to play the movie Flash and Stephen Amell to play Green Arrow in the movies. And then DC kind of came down with the hammer and said, these are separate. But listening to Smith's comments, talking with the creative team and all that, and them cutting it out, I think they definitely had this planned the whole time.
Yeah.
Because from my personal perspective, I'm like, yes, of course, give us our favorite TV show characters, put them in a movie in the big screen. That'd be crazy. But also from a business perspective, it'd be silly to ignore the fan bases that these shows have that were here before the DCU started, and they're really strong. And so, to me, it would not make sense to ignore them and ignore those dollars and not capitalize it on some way. It doesn't have to be full on Grant Gustin playing the Flash in the movies. That it would have been nice for the fans, but I think it was the better route to get a different Flash. But leave the door open to later down the road, maybe in phase 2 of DCU, say, okay, well, this is Earth 1, TV shows Earth 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
And now we have these Flashes and because I think that would be the better business decision. And I think it will happen. I think DC has laid out the map where that's going to happen down the road.
You know what would really be cool if at the end of these first couple phases with DC, if they announced a Crisis on Infinite Earths,
right?
And they led up to the actual movies with all the TV shows.
Okay.
And so I think that'd be really cool. I just thought that. So DC, I hope you're listening.
Yes. So now we want to do one of our segments called Keep It or Sweep It. And this is basically a segment where we pull out news from the comic movie world and say whether we should keep it or sweep it to the side. So first up, we have some news in the third movie in the Thor series. Earlier this week, some rumors on the plot of Thor Ragnarok surfaced from the folks at Geek.com. Their sources claim that after Thor catches on to Hela and Loki's plot that is going down in Asgard, Hela destroys Mjolnir and banishes Thor from Asgard. Loki and Hela's plan involves the major arc of the Marvel Universe. And just when it looks like Thor is about to put a stop to it, he gets banished. But not to any old planet. He ends up on a gladiatorial planet where his head is shaved and he's forced to fight for his life. The sources go on to say, Thor knows that he has to get to some MacGuffin weapon object to defeat Hela and Loki. This could be the Infinity Gauntlet that Thanos is in possession of, or maybe an assemblage of the Infinity Stones. And he has to get off the planet. Thor runs through all of his alien opponents in gladiatorial combat, even without his trademark hammer. Finally, Thor has to face the current champion of the arena, and when you know who that ends up being, the Hulk. So Sal, what are your thoughts on the plots overall, and do you keep or sweep the idea that this plot will actually end up in the movie?
Well, I keep that they're going to keep it. We're still a little bit off from the actual release date, but they do have to get the ball rolling. So if these are, the best rumors we're getting, I believe that they're actually pretty reliable. And in terms of the storyline itself, I'm liking that. I like that they're taking from Planet Hulk a little bit. And the Ragnarok, for those who might not know, came about in the Civil War story arc, and basically Tony Stark made a doppelganger of Thor to be on their side of the Civil War. So I like that Hulk is, I'm assuming Hulk is the Ragnarok in a way, in a sense. So I like that part, and I think it's just going to be interesting to see Thor on a whole nother universe, or in a whole nother universe, and a whole nother planet. We saw a little bit in the Dark World, but I think this is kind of going in the way of like Doctor Strange or Guardians of the Galaxy. We're going to see more than just Asgard or more than just Earth. So in terms of that, I'm really excited to see a new setting. And if Kate Blanchett is Hela or whoever it is, then I think that's going to make it even twice as better. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah, picking up on that point, I think this rumor kind of confirms what we talked about last week about Kate Blanchett being Hela instead of Enchantress. It kind of solves the problem of Marvel not owning the rights to an individual Hulk movie. And it kind of solves the problem of Thor not being the best trilogy so far to me. Well, definitely not to me, but to some people,
Yeah.
It's okay. And so I think this amps it up in the third one. So it solves a lot of those issues. I like the idea of Thor bringing in the Planet Hulk thing to Thor, and kind of how you incorporate Thor into it also. And it also picks up where Loki, whatever his plot was the whole time.
Yeah.
So all that sounds good to me. The problems I have with it is that Hela and Loki were never kind of schemers together historically. I mean, they done things, but typically it's more Enchantress tricking Thor or stuff like that. Or, you know, they say in the quotes that this serves the larger arc, which means Thanos. So
Yeah.
Hela is usually kind of, you know, out of the whole big picture. She kind of runs the underworld, but, you know, serving Thanos kind of seems a little out of her character. But depending on if they play her off as the embodiment of death, then it might make sense. But her having the power to banish Thor is a little, you know, strange to me.
Yeah.
And destroy his hammer. It's like, okay, she's really powerful. And then also Thor Ragnarok by itself, that storyline I thought could have held up as a movie. And bringing in Planet Hulk, I understand why you do it, and I think it's a good idea, but it's just a little sad that you won't get the actual storyline. Now, nothing's going to be beat for beat, but I just thought, you know, that storyline could have held up by itself. But ultimately, I sweep that this is going to happen for now. Just because, like you said, so early in the stages, they're actually just writing this. Wherever these sources got it from, this could be like a first rough draft. And so I just really think there's so much time. They could look on the internet like, oh, people know we should switch it right now. So we'll see. But for right now, I have to sweep it until we get more information. All right, a few weeks ago, one of the Russo brothers in charge of directing the up-and-coming Infinity War movies was quoted as saying there will be 67 characters. Recently, during a special IMAX screening of Captain America Winter Soldier, those comments were clarified by the Russos, saying, "We were being figurative when we said 67 characters, and people took it as literal, but there's a lot of characters. Infinity War is meant to be the culmination of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe up to this point. It's very ambitious in its scope. It wants to take everything that you've seen before and coalesce into some kind of climactic ending. It's complicated, it's ambitious storytelling. We're not talking about lead characters, just people that make an appearance." So Sal, do you keep or sweep the idea that Marvel can fit all these characters into a two-part movie?
I'm keeping it, but I definitely take his quotes literally. Not in terms of the 67 characters, but in the terms of not lead characters, just appearances.
Right.
You know, Marvel is notorious for Easter eggs, so I think there are going to be a lot of them leading up to and in the Infinity War movies. And, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean seeing the actual characters, seeing their faces, seeing anything really. So the only thing I hope that doesn't happen is that it's going to get too dense. You know, I'm excited that this is going to be like the first, I kind of want to say the first real big comic book movie in a way, in terms of the story. It's you know, it's a massive story with, like you said, a lot of characters. But, you know, seeing them pull it off would make me really happy, but I just hope that they, you know, can see it all the way through and not make it too dense where it's going to be an Age of Ultron. Not that that was too dense, but that should have been a very important story, and I think they overlooked that. So, you know, I'm keeping that for now, but we will see where that goes, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sweeping it. Might have to double sweep it now, because now that you mention it, Age of Ultron, I thought one of the problems was they tried to fit too much into the movie, and that they had to speed through things and not develop things as well as it should have been. And so, if you're talking about this many characters, yes, you're definitely going to have elements of that same thing in that movie. And that worries me. But I mainly sweep it because Marvel MCU, do they really have 67 characters to even begin with?
Yeah.
Now, I know he's been figurative, but they don't have that many characters when you take into account that all the characters from Fox that are not there. And yes, you bring in Spider-Man, but as far as we know, the deal is only for Spider-Man. It's not for any of his villains or anybody that's in his world. It's just Spider-Man. So you add him, and that's really it. Yes, we just got new characters. We got Doctor Strange and Black Panther coming up, but 67, and then you also say that Netflix is not going to be in this movie. So no Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, or Daredevil. And it's just like, well, where are you getting all these characters from? I don't think you will get even close to 30 or 40. So I have to sweep it unless I hear something different. I think you'll throw at us what you have so far, but it won't get close to being the actual Infinity Wars that we've seen in the comics. Not even half of that. So I have to sweep it for now. And that is the show for today. Remember, if you like what you heard and you want more of the canon, then click the subscribe button below. Sal, I want to thank you for today. Can you tell the people where they can find us?
They can find us on Twitter at The Canon Vlog, or on Facebook, facebook.com/TheCanon.
And I'm your host today, Terry. And remember, if you heard it here, it's canon. It just builds up, and then maybe at the very end, where the rebel group is leaving, and you just hear that, and Vader's coming. But for me, you can't have a story that takes place in that